It's DBJ, and here's another narrative secret of mine. These narrative secrets, of course, are a look into my personal techniques for creating, running a game, prepping a game, and using these techniques during the game. Anyway, this narrative secret is about motivation. And this is specifically about NPCs and monsters, right? And here's a side note, there's a thing about saving PCs and should you fudge the dice, and it's not right to fudge dice if PCs are killed and you fudge the dice and say they aren't killed because it feels like there's no threats. What I do to prevent that from even happening, the idea of saving the dice to keep someone from dying, is that I create, quote unquote, with air quotes, realistic motivations for my enemies. So, for example, I have a Medusa, and she's got her, long lizard-like tail. She's got a brigade of orcs. She has a ogre bodyguard that has a displacer beast as a pet. And sounds kind of frightening if you're like 1st to 5th level, I would say. But I create for them their own motivations. So, for example, the orcs, they're at the bottom of the totem pole. Maybe I give them a warg or two to ride on, and they're along for the ride, right? So the orcs are loyal only so far as they are allied with a very strong, powerful ally. This Medusa and this ogre. And it's pretty much out of power and fear. Yeah, they could run for it, but on their own, they're not going to be that powerful. But combined with these guys, yeah, it's kind of like, hey, you want to mess with me? I got this bigger guy behind me. You want to mess with me? She's my patron. So they're using this to a great effect. Well, motivation-wise, that means that if she's taken out, well, maybe that might break their morale. Or each one is motivated to please her, to be on her good side, because they don't want to get bitten by her poisonous snakes or even look her in the eye and be turned to stone. So they're each trying to one-up each other. So if the player character is in a situation where they might die and they say, we know who your mistress is, Mistress Salathus, and Salathus is wants the secrets that are held in my tome of knowledge, and I'm the only one, I'm the wizard, the only one that can read this tome of knowledge. It doesn't benefit you to kill me. You better take me to her right now. And the orcs might go, oh shit, well, I mean, I hate magic. I should slit this guy's throat. I mean, we could eat him, later on, but she really could use that tome of knowledge, and I could get some brownie points. Yeah, okay, wizard, put your hands behind your back, and we'll take you to her, or something like that, right? So, it's not that it's not the ability to save the players, but to have personal motivations. So, for example, the displacer beast doesn't have any particular reason not to kill the player characters. But the ogre and the Medusa may call off the displacer beast if they feel that the player characters have something important to say. Maybe they have a scroll that leads to another, great treasure. Anything like that. And so if you give your monsters and your NPCs their own personal motivations, irregardless of the fact that you think, or the player characters think they're all on the same side, then once the player characters are involved, they start to role play. You already know what they're going to do when they get at a given situation. Are the orcs going to fight to the death? Maybe not. Maybe they run. Do they hit and run the player characters and steal their shit so that they can go back and say, oh wow, hey mistress, there's a wizard with them and I stole his staff, or something like that. Give me a brownie point. Is that possible? Hell yeah. And so, will the Mistress Salathus be alone by herself if the ogre is always at her side as a bodyguard? Sure. Does she like to sit on her throne and put her feet up on the displacer beast while it's sleeping there, while she scratches it behind its ears? Yeah. But maybe there's even deeper motivations, right? So evil for evil's sake, it's black and white, but it's kind of boring, right? So why are they evil? What if you find out that the princess that needed to be saved all this time was really the Medusa? That the princess maybe made a pact with evil, or thought she was so beautiful that she was cursed and turned into the Medusa. And so really the population has, let's hunt the Medusa down, let's kill her, she's evil, she's been cursed, we don't want to speak her name anymore. Salathus used to be, Mistress Adina's to be betrothed to the great prince, but now he's locked himself away in the castle, and no one knows what happened to Adina, but everyone talks about Salathus, and she's trying to fight to gain back her honor and gain back her beauty, and maybe even find a spell that would return her to her beauty, and she could care less about the evil she's surrounded by, but that's the only people, and the population has driven her to be evil. Well, that makes even a bigger story. What if she falls for one of the player characters who reminds her of her prince? Because maybe it's been 40, 50 years, 150 years since she's seen her prince. He's long dead. But every once in a while she comes across someone and she becomes obsessed with them, wants to kidnap them, wipe out their village. She wants to hold them as her consort. One of the player characters, she becomes obsessed with them, hunting them down, sneaking around, finding out what they want, harassing them a little bit, trying to separate them from the group. Maybe she wants that member captured. Maybe she wants them all captured so she can find out where this one cute player character is at, and she's captured all the other members and threatens to torture them if this one cute player character doesn't come out of the Dreadwood and become her betrothed. And maybe she really doesn't want to hurt anybody else, but she's willing to risk their lives and threaten them. Maybe she will slice a throat here or there to get what she wants. But give this motivation. Allow them to be alive. If the player characters are never involved, what would they do? What would those enemies do? What would the NPCs do? The king, the enemy nation, the guy who works at the tavern, the barmaid who goes away crying all the time. Why? What would they do if the player characters were not involved? So please add some motivation in. That's what I do. When I start out, I'll have my Medusa. I'll write down her little backstory. I'll have my orcs. I'll just write a one-line for their backstory. The ogre, not too bright. Maybe he's there fed well or something of that nature. Write down his backstory. The Displacer Beast. Enough said, because they are wicked as shit, and I love them. Displacer Beasts are like sweet, which I could never understand why Blink Dogs were never as cool as Displacer Beasts. The evil ones always get the cool stuff, not the good ones. But anyway, Blink Dogs don't get enough credit for what they are. Anyhow, write down some details. Maybe as a strange course of events, maybe the Displacer Beast becomes someone's familiar or a mount, or it actually is a figurine of wondrous power. Throw some stuff like that in there. Anyhow, as always, I like to end my videos. Create a motivation for your NPCs and your enemies. Make that motivation, air quotes, realistic. What do they want? And what would they gain if they succeeded? Would they fail anyway? And there's that Quantum Ogre issue where, if the player characters don't get involved, are they going to fail anyway? Kind of sucks. But if they succeed, what do they get out of it? If she succeeds in removing the curse, has she just galvanized an army? Or will she hold on to her evil ways? Maybe there's no way to get rid of the curse, so instead she wants to turn her prince, or the person she perceives as her prince, into something like her. So maybe this entire time she thinks she is returning to normal with her prince, but in essence what she's doing is gathering victims to be transformed into another evil beast. Anyway, just throwing stuff out there. As always, create, don't destroy. DBJ, and I'm out.